and then you're feeling the effects of what happens when you have a revelation. This is what we're feeling here. Agape was birthed out of revelation. It was birthed out of insight. It was birthed out of an openness of catching a vision of possibility of a spiritual community that gives the individual back to themselves. It was birthed out of a revelation and an insight about all individuals coming together regardless of sexual orientation, regardless of color of skin, regardless of ethnicity, regardless of where an individual's national origin is, but individuals coming together in a way that we could come to an awareness of our oneness with the Spirit of the living God, and though the surface may be different, the roots are the same, that we can come together and celebrate the divine presence in a way that would change our lives forever, and that this community would become and is a center. It is an epicenter of divine love and infinite peace. So as we hear the theme of the month, which is and has been a view from the top, we've come to an understanding beginning last week that there is a view from the top. There is a view from expanded awareness. It's called beholding. And beholding is a state of consciousness in which you're no longer obscured by previously held points of view, no longer obscured by the artifacts of limited perceptions that have condensed themselves into experience. You're no longer obscuring that which is real by limited lies and beliefs. You're actually seeing life the way it really is. We've come to know, of course, that most people do not have an encounter with reality. They generally have an encounter with their thoughts about reality, their beliefs about reality, which determines a loop of experience that becomes very difficult to come out of unless someone has an insight and are able to see a view from the top that sets them free. And then that particular experience is exacerbated by the imprinting that takes place within our societal structure and the status quo that seems to want to keep people loaded and coated with fear and doubt and worry throughout the media. So it becomes very normalized and very popularized for individuals to become afraid and to live a life of freedom, constantly living on the edge of survival, producing cortisol through the body temple, basically diminishing the capacity for the immune system to do its work, creating a discoherence on the hemispheres of the brain, increasing the blood pressure, and basically creating an acidic, toxic environment for the body temple that allows for disease and discomfort to foment and ultimately express itself. That kind of life is not for you. That's not the life that God has ordained for you. God has ordained for you, because you have emerged from the eternal to reflect and to reveal the cosmos in a way that has never happened before. God has ordained for you the possibility for you to engage in reality and to make a very high choice of being able to be a participant in your own unfolding. We live in a participatory universe, meaning the universe, the multidimensional universe, is the outpicturing of the heart mind of the infinite, and it operates through love and through law, and you get to participate in your own unfolding. Back in the day, people believed that evolution took place basically as an adjustment factor to external circumstances. But now we know that you can participate in your own unfolding and you can evolve in one lifetime. You can change, you can transform your entire life. In one lifetime, you can emerge out of the throes of lack and limitation and negativity. You can emerge out of your being stuck in the muck, so to speak, by circumstantial living, and absolutely embrace the higher frequency of your life and watch as you grow and glow from a very high state point of view. We're talking about having a view at the top, sometimes called the upper room, sometimes called mountaintop consciousness, sometimes called on a clear day you can see forever, sometimes called the awareness that the ground upon which you're standing is holy because you're standing on it. With the awareness that the presence and the power and the love of God is everywhere, and it becomes the very activity of our awareness. You are here to have a view of great possibility, a view from the top, so that your entire life It becomes a fiat of the Spirit of the living God, that you, as the image and likeness of God, you have come to know, and I'm speaking of this into the place that already knows what I am saying. Your surface mind and the subpersonalities may not have an idea of what I'm saying, but your soul knows exactly what I'm saying, that you are the spiritual image and likeness of God, which does not mean you look like God, because God is formless. God is timeless. God is eternal. God doesn't have a form, though you can see the evidence of the presence of God in form. The presence of God is timeless and formless and dimensionless. And so we know that the image and likeness of God means that you're sharing a faculty with the Spirit. And that faculty is that you have the capacity to absolutely think independent of any experience that you may be growing through. You can think independent of that experience, and out of no thing at all, set a whole new causative factor in your life by coming out of the world of appearances, the world of effects and circumstances and situations, people, places, and things, and begin to see differently and free your imagination from being hijacked by worry and doubt and fear. Free your imaginal faculties from being hijacked by a sense of separation. You can free the imaginal scares. You can re-enchant your imagination until it becomes an angel of God, taking you to a place of leaping into the invisible, unknown to the ego, unknown to the limited perception, unknown to the personality, unknown to the limited subpersonalities, but known by the presence of God. You can take a big leap into that awareness, and this is why you pray. This is why you meditate. This is why you practice the life visioning process. This is why you study. This is why you have high fellowship, not to try to change God's mind, because if you could change God's mind, we'd be in trouble, you see? Because the Spirit of the living God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. You can't influence God at all. Get that, let that go into your awareness. You can't influence God, because God is the same yesterday, today, and forever, but you can allow the presence of God to influence you. You can open yourself up and catch inspiration, which is the inspired thought of the Spirit, and allow that to take over your life so that your life becomes a living vehicle of that which the presence of God is. I'm talking about the view from the top, not the view from the valley, which is full of fear and doubt and worry. And of course, I'm not talking about the physical valley that people live in. I'm talking about the valley of despair, the valley of separation, the valley of limitation, the valley of not enoughness, the valley of scarcity, the valley of fear, the valley of the shadow of death. You see, that daily death that we go through to become more of ourselves. And it's become so popularized and normalized that people are walking around the world actually living in fear on a regular basis and wearing that as a badge of belonging. I'm afraid. You afraid? Yeah, I'm afraid too. Are you afraid? Yeah, I'm afraid. Oh, okay, we're together. Okay, we're afraid together. Oh, I'm nervous. Oh my God, what am I going to catch next week? What's going to happen? Stop it, metaphysicians. Stop the nonsense. Wake up. You are more than you think you are. You are the image and likeness of God, and when you step into the vibrational frequency of who you are, your life becomes impervious to BS. That's belief systems saying that you're separated from the power and the presence and the love of God. Oh, I want you to catch this, because as you catch this, you'll not only change your own life, but every environment that you go into will be shifted, because the highest vibration always wins. The highest frequency always wins. A thought form that emerges from a sense of separation is not as powerful as a thought that's emerging from a sense of unity. In biofeedback, you can see that the thoughts that are emerging from a sense of oneness have more power than thought forms that are emerging from a sense of separation. So you become impervious to lack and limitation and scarcity in a sense of separation. We're talking about a view from the top, the upper room consciousness, the secret place of the Most High, under the shadow of the Almighty. You, I'm talking about you, the individuals that's sitting in your underwear right now, that person right there, you. Not just your friend, your cousin, not just the people around you. I'm talking about you see. And so as you begin to do the inner work necessary to catch inspiration, to catch the higher point of view, you begin to understand what the topic would mean about grow and glow and flow, with a little bit of small print in there as well. And you begin to understand that your movement of thought and your movement of prayer, your movement of practice is to create a priority in your life where your priority is to grow. Your priority is to evolve. Your priority is to become more of yourself. Your priority is to embrace your authentic nature. Your priority is to embrace your eternal nature. That becomes a priority that goes well beyond all of the other priorities in your life. You don't throw the other priorities away. You know, the priority that allows you to feed yourself, the priority that allows you to attain certain skills in the world, the priority that allows you to better yourself in different areas of your life. No, we don't throw those priorities away. But your uppermost priority must be that you're going to participate in your own unfolding, so the individual that is here today does not exist next year, that another greater vision and version of yourself has emerged, so that you are living to grow, develop, and unfold as a priority, thus understanding what Jesus the Christ meant when he said that foxes have holes and birds have nests, but there's no place for the Son of Man to lay his head. In other words, foxes can kick back. The birds have nests, they can kick it in this stage of unfolding, but use the image and likeness of God, you rest in the flow of unfolding. You remember what St. Augustine said, I shall not rest until I rest in thee. You shall not rest until you're resting in the evolutionary urgency of you becoming more of yourself. And as you become more of yourself, then you discover the lily of the field consciousness. Your needs are met. You become impervious to dis-ease and disharmony. You're living in the flow of creation. Let there be light. Let there be beauty. Let there be love. Let there be abundance. Let there be prosperity. You're living in a different flow. Cortisol isn't flowing. You have endorphins flowing through your body temple because you're on an adventure of becoming more of yourself. Oh, that's a heaven of an adventure. It's the E-ride of coming to earth. You see, the excellent ride, the ride of excellence. And so grow. And then as growth takes place, and growth does not mean getting there. It means when you get there, you discover that there is here. It's already here. Growth just means an expansion of your awareness to discover you already got it. You're just seeking to discover and activate and ultimately express whatever the it is. That would be love. That would be peace. That would be joy. That would be harmonizing prosperity. That would be wealth. That would be abundance. That would be all of the sacred qualities of the infinite, you see? And so that's what growth is. It's an expansion of your awareness. And as that becomes the activity of your awareness, you start to glow. Glowing is the highest form of prayer. Beyond what flows out of your mouth in terms of resonant cellular frequencies, which is powerful, you start to glow with the presence, you see. There's an invisible auric field that starts to permeate your environment. You're glowing with a knowing of the presence of God that's wordless. You understand what Ralph Waldo Emerson meant when he said, I can't hear who you are thunder so loudly, I can't hear a word you're saying. It's a glow. And that happens in both ways. Sometimes individuals are conniving, and sometimes politicians get a rap for this, that the stench of their frequency stinks. So even if they're saying all the right stuff, everyone knows that they're lying, and sometimes it's a very powerful thing. A person can be in divine silence, but the glow of their being is outshining every star, you see. Who you are thunders so loudly I can't hear a word you are saying. This is all about the glow, getting your glow on so that you're walking in this dynamic, and then you understand what flow motion is. You get into a flow, and that is beyond the figuring out mind. You become a fiat of the Spirit where inspired wisdom and divine guidance start to flow through you in a language and in a way that you can understand. And then you don't move until you're moved by the Spirit. Something compels you into right action. And it can be said, something made me do that. Something told me. Something is another name for God. Something is another name for the act of intuition. Something is another name for direct and divine knowing. You start to flow. And flow motion becomes the order of your day, and you begin to understand that a coincidence is something that's coinciding with the activity of your awareness being at one with God. There's coincidence, there's serendipity. All of this begins to happen because the universe is ordered. It's divine order. It doesn't work against itself. It's always working for its own unfolding. It's friendly, it's progressive, and now you're in league with it. You're in sync with it. So you come into a dynamic flow motion in your life. But there's small print there. There's some print that you need to understand. And you need to understand that one, as we teach here, that, there is the domain of adaptation, meaning individuals have come to the planet and they've learned particular skills to adapt to circumstances and situations and things of that particular nature. But you don't want to get stuck in adaptation. That's just one modality. After adaptation, there is transformation, meaning that you're literally changing. You're literally becoming a new, greater version and vision of yourself. You're living to be transformed by the renewing of your mind, you see? And when the renewing of your mind takes place, you start to see and participate in a whole different world, you see? And then after transformation, there's dissolving, dissolution. And that is the old forms and structures that have been built by your previous identity begins to fall apart. Now, this is the small print because that don't feel good. When the old starts to fall apart, there's a melting of the old. Oh, my God. You feel like you're losing something, but we're taught to die daily. We are taught to come to an understanding that whenever you have a new iteration that is emerging in your life, then something has to be let go of, because the only thing that's preventing you from being you are the lies you tell yourself, the perceptions and the mental hindrances and the complaints that you may have normalized in your life. That begins to melt and die, and you don't know yourself. Sometimes you wouldn't even know yourself without the major complaint that you have. You wouldn't even know yourself without that fear that you carry around all the time. You wouldn't even know yourself without that popularized, normalized perception of fear that you are hanging on to. And so as I was saying in the earlier service, I remember the story of the guy going to the doctor. He had some issues with his body temple. And the doctor looked at him, examined him, and said, listen, you're going to have to stop drinking. And he said, I don't drink, doc. He says, okay, you're going to have to stop smoking then. He said, I don't smoke. Okay, you're going to have to stop running around and carousing out here. He said, I don't run around and carouse. He said, well, you're going to have to give up something or I can't help you. In other words, our whole process of growth, development, and unfoldment is about giving up something. Your complaint, giving up something, fighting for your limitations, giving up of something, so that what is obscuring the vision of living from the view from the top is beginning to be dissolved, you see. Now, that small print is saying in substance that basically two people handle that death, that dying of the old, two different ways, sometimes three different ways. Some people go into a downward spiral of depression and they become inundated with the lies that they have told themselves and the lies about themselves. They get very, very depressed and they become lethargic. They can't move. The energy is inverted and they become lethargic and they're inundated with all kinds of belief about themselves. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. Life is hard until you die. I'm never going to make it. Why is it so hard? What should I do about all this stuff that's going on in the world and in my own life? They become inundated and sometimes paralyzed in depression. And other people go through a kind of a frenetic movement. They're running around doing so much busyness, doing all kinds of things, hanging out with people, doing all kinds of things because they don't want to be alone with that inner emotion. So they go into frenetic movement, moving so fast so they can't feel the death urge. And others feel the death urge and they become lethargic. But the idea here is you have to face the lie on your own. No one can help you. People can help you, but they can't walk through it with you. You have to do this on your own. In other words, you have to discover the art of aloneness and get still. And when you're going through the death of an old paradigm, the death of an old personality, the death of an old belief system, you have to go in, face the lie, face on, head on. What lie is fomenting this fear? Unworthiness, fear of abandonment, fear of scarcity. If you look at it squarely in the face, you'll see that it's all a lie that the ego has created for you with help of the status quo, with help of society's standings. And you have created for yourself a belief system that there's not enough whatever to go around, and you're lying about it. And now your coping mechanisms aren't working, your defense mechanisms aren't working, your compulsive behaviors aren't working. And so you have to look at the lie square in the face. You have to stay with it until you penetrate the lie, and then you see the truth of your being start to emerge. You're one with God. Life, love, joy, wisdom, and harmony is here already. You can't add it to yourself. You can't go get it. This is why the great teacher said, who by taking thought can add 1 cubit to their stature. You can't add anything to yourself. Nothing. All you can do is eliminate that which is preventing you from seeing who and what you really are. And so that small print is in transformation is there comes a moment where there is a great death. There is a great letting go. There was a great submergence into the darkness. And then if you stay with it long enough and stare it in the face, you will hear the 139th Psalm screaming at you. The darkness and the light are both alike to me. The darkness now shines as the day. That is a mystical psalm letting you know that the darkness is carrying infinite potential, great possibilities, and the shadows that we're walking through are our gifts in an embryonic state. You see, they're there waiting, and the brooding darkness allows you to penetrate the lie if you sit with it long enough. No one can walk through it with you. You have to walk through it by yourself. People can encourage, they can pray for you, they can embrace you, they can cradle you, they can tell you how they got through. However, at some point, you have to let go of all exogenous stuff that's going to help you make it through. All the external stuff. This is going to make me feel good. You're going to have to let go of all being out here trying to run away from it. You're going to have to let go of just sinking into it so deep that you feel so separated from the presence of God and go through a depression, which means you are not expressing, you are depressing the energy that's trying to be transmuted by the renewing of your mind and your focus of intentionality. Now, when this occurs, you will begin to discover the art of aloneness. There's an art to aloneness. When you wake up in the morning, you don't immediately think about who you're going to relate to in the course of your day, whether it's your husband, your wife, your employees, your employer. No, that's relative. That's relative stuff. You don't immediately think about how you're going to have intercourse with the world. You're going to go out into the world. You're going to get into traffic. You're going to go over here. You're going to go over. No, don't do that. Don't do that. You don't immediately begin to think about the roles that you wear. I'm a mother. I'm a father. I'm this. I'm that. No. The art of aloneness is that when you first wake up, it's just you and God. And your life is the life of God, you see. You sit with that until you're not living a relative life, that my whole existence is based on my relationships. My whole existence is based on how I interact with the world. My whole existence is based on the particular role I'm living. No, those are secondary things. The art of aloneness means that you're coming into contact with the Spirit of the living God as your very life and being. And then what happens? Then you are infused so that when you interact with other people, there's no such thing as interaction. It's omni-activity. Interaction means two. Something happens and you realize the presence of God is you, in you, the presence of God is whoever it is in them, and there is more of a communion. You see, there's no interaction anywhere. There's omni-action everywhere, you see. And you're not just dealing with the world, because the world is just a conglomeration of held beliefs and perceptions and limited beliefs and opinions. No. The world is a Rorschach test, basically feeding back to people who they think they are. Everyone lives in a different world based on their own perception. So you're not just trying to interact with that world. No, I know the media may have you by the short hairs. Can I say that? I know the media may have you, and you're all feared and cowering about whatever's going on next, and it becomes normalized. You feel odd being in joy. You see, you're not dealing with that world. A new world is emerging. It's in your awareness. It's the real world, you see. And you're not operating just from your personalities and the roles. When you stop and become conscious that you're at one with the presence of God, it infuses your roles. You become a better mom, a better whatever your particular task is in the world. It infuses that. And you realize that you are not working for man and woman whose breath it's in their nostrils. You're working for God. In whatever your particular task is, you become free, you see. The art of being alone and staring down the lies. Not a relative relationship. Not just dealing with the world. Not just being a particular role. But understanding that there's a presence here. And you have a dynamic connection with it. Your life is the life of it. And what happens? You become a free being. Free beings are wild. Free beings are kind of maverick. Free beings are kind of in the world but not of it. Free beings are not defined by what's happening in society. They're defined by their soul connection to the presence of God and live from inspiration. Every movement of the world society has come from individuals who have left the world as we think it to be, caught an idea of inspiration, and then brought it to earth. Every great movement has come from urban shamans, gone into another realm, brought the gift back beyond the five senses. Look at Beethoven. He was deaf. He composed complete symphonies. Could never heard a tune. He was completely deaf. He went into the realm of the invisible and the inaudible, caught it, brought it back, fully formed. It means that you can see without eyes and you can hear without ears. The infinite, invisible, inaudible. That's where you live as a metaphysician. That's where you live as a metaphysician, embracing your mystical roots so that you transcend religiosity and move into deep spirituality. And who cares if someone thinks you're an oddball? Who cares? You don't even care how people think about you. You walk around with that smile in your face, even though the world has gone a little bit crazy and everybody's trying to get back into the matrix. They're just trying hard to get back into the matrix and be normal around their fear and doubt and worry. And you're out of the matrix? Who cares what the people in the matrix think about you? You're in the joy. You're in the love. You're in the harmony. Your immune system is packed and powerful. The coherence of your brains the hemispheres of your brain are coherent. Your blood pressure is cool. I did my blood pressure a couple of weeks ago. It was 110/63. They said, "What the heaven are you doing?" I said, "Nothing." I ain't worrying. like the guy in the Mad magazine. What? Me? Worry? About what? There's no such thing as death. There's no such thing as loss. So why would I be worried about anything? If I stay in the frequency of the Most High, any apparent loss is going to be given back. The years that the locusts have eaten will be given back, you see. If you are in the upper room, if you are in the high point of view, And that is the work you are doing, not merely trying to change a circumstance, but trying to renew yourself. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. You see, you change you. You give yourself permission to become the next great vision and version of who you are. And then you'll see a view from the top. You'll see possibility. You see. You'll see the beloved community as described by Dr. James Hargett and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. You'll see a world that works for the highest and best within us all that Nelson Mandela saw. You'll see a whole different world. You'll see the Christ in beings that Mother Teresa saw. You'll see it. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. That vision will pull you. And then you become the greatest accountants, the greatest doctors, the greatest musicians, whatever your particular gift and task will be. No one can do it better than you. Because you're not in competition nor comparing yourself to anyone. You are working for the infinite. And you're always giving more than what someone could pay you for. Because you don't work for humanity. You work for the presence of God, and humanity gets the benefit. And what else? You understand that there is a love live stream happening straight from the infinite. It's streaming love, peace, joy, wisdom, harmony, and the glory of God, and you become the transponder and the vehicle for the great love stream from the mind of God. You become so whole, so devotion for your own growth, development, and unfoldment that you're able to hold more of the universal wattage, the cosmic power that's everywhere. Your subtle bodies become so coherent they can hold more energy, and you glow like Chernobyl in a good way. You glow. Your posture is great. You're holding your head up. And everybody's running around scared. You're holding your head up. Your posture is magnificent. You have the power pose of great possibility, and you're poised for greatness. I'm not talking about comparing yourself to other people. You're poised to be the next great vision and version of yourself. And you live like a laser. In other words, every year you get better. More and more focus, less and less extraneous stuff. Less and less stuff that you have to let go of. So you become more and more one-pointed. And if your eye is single, your body and your body of affairs will be full of light. Light, figuratively, as insight and understanding, and light as the cosmic light that is within us all. The light that lights up every man and every woman, every them, every they that comes to the planet. There is a light that you are. And so you begin to realize that the religion is a wonderful transformational boat or car or rocket ship that's carrying you to the sublime. It's not about the religion itself. That's the vehicle that gets you to discover yourself. So then you don't argue about whatever vehicle you're taking to get there. When you get there, there is here. And this is why it's kind of a linguistic convenience when people say, oh, you know, he was a great Jewish mystic, or he was a great Christian mystic, or a great Islamic mystic. Once a person becomes a mystic, those other labels fall apart. They're not even, that was just the culture they came out of. But there's no such thing as a Jewish mystic. Because once you're a mystic, you're no longer the limited perception. You're just a mystic. You don't see mystics in the room arguing with each other because they're all looking at the upper room. You only see religionists and theologians argue. Oh, this is the way, the scripture says this. They're blind to the upper room consciousness. Blind, I tell you. Lost in theology rather than embracing the theology of joy. Sometimes I don't even know where I'm going. I know where I'm going, but I don't know how I'm going to say it. You understand what I'm saying? So that's what needed to be said. So take a breath with me here. Release. And become aware that you have to give yourself permission to embrace the excellence that's trying to emerge through you. Society can't give it to you. Your mama can't give it to you. Your daddy can't. You have to give yourself permission. You have to have whole soul devotion and an intentionality to be the next great vision and version of yourself. Come what may, the small print is that some things are going to die as you evolve. Some things you're going to have to let go of. Some things are not going to fit anymore. That's the small print and the death throes of the egoic perception. So close your eyes for a moment and just consider that you have the capacity in this moment to choose. You're not a robot, an automaton. Choose ye this day whom and what you shall serve, God or mammon, God or fear, God or worry, God or doubt, God or lack, God or limitation, God or mediocrity. Choose right now. And choose a quality without thinking about how it's going to manifest in your life. Choose love, choose peace, choose joy, choose abundance, choose prosperity, choose wellness, choose well-being. Choose. Make a choice. Give yourself permission to choose without saying, well, how is this going to happen? How's more prosperity going to flow in my life? How's my body going to... No. Let me just share this with you. There's the view from the top, and then there's the sea of mental garbage, race consciousness. If you want to come out of race consciousness, you have to give up questions like, why me, what's wrong, who's to blame, what should I do about it, how did this happen? That keeps you in the lower frequencies. You have to ask the question, what is really real? That lifts you above the sea of mental garbage. What's really real? Choose what's really real and then watch as it begins to unfold. I dare you to embrace greatness. I dare you to embrace your marvelous being. I dare you to embrace prosperity. I dare you to embrace perfect health. I dare you to live a fearless life. I dare you. I double dare you. Take the dare. Close your eyes and choose a couple of qualities right now. Choose ye this day what you shall serve. Choose it. Choose it. Come up to the room with no view. The room with no ceiling. Come up. Room with the view from the top. Come up. Choose it. Now take that if you're sitting in a chair, don't slump. Have your back straight. Just if you're standing up, stand up. Have a power pose. You know what I mean? Just stand up. You're powerful, full of power. Choose it. And feel the dynamic of being a celebrant. Celebrating the divine presence. All of nature is in constant celebration because of its ability and willingness to commune with the divine. What about you? You have to choose it. Choose that moment of celebration. Put a smile on your face even if you don't feel like it. Choose ye this day. Choose. And then let the celebration happen. It's already happening. You might as well participate in it. Watch this individual celebrate dance with the Rev at Agape. Ari Dixon. Ari is celebrating. Living her life like it's golden. If you're new to Agape, we invite you to send in your video of dancing with us. Not as a frivolous movement, coming into being a celebrant for the divine. She's reverential in her dance. She got that smile on her face. She's moving that temple. Remember, you don't Stop dancing when you get old. You get old if you stop dancing. Living my life like it's golden. I want you to live your life like it's golden. I want you to understand that you are the answer to your own unfolding. Remember this?
You want a healing?
You want a healing?
You want to live life free?
You want to live life free? Take a breath. Yes, I'm a fool for God. No fooling. Something's knocking on your heart. You are the answer.
Something wonderful is always on the verge of happening.
That's true.
Something magnificent is always on the verge of happening. Opportunity is everywhere. It's knocking on your heart. Set me free.
Come on, Grace. Grace the stage.
Oh, opportunity is always knocking. It's knocking. It's knocking. It's knocking on your heart. It's knocking. It's knocking. It's knocking on your heart. We are surrounded by these universal ideas of beauty, of love.
And love.
Some of them have your name.
Got your name
them.
on it?
You are the answer. Get some understanding today. Make that U-turn. Universal, undivided, undeniable. You are the answer. You are the answer. Get some understanding today. Make that U-turn. Universal, undivided, undeniable. You are the answer. The answer.
I hope you guys are dancing out there in Agape land. Send me some video.
And then there is this thing called focus.
Focus.
This willingness and ability to stay the course.
Stay the course.
To be so focused on that which is real. To be so focused on that which is eternal. We make a U-turn toward unadulterated, unified. The moment that transformation occurs, you're setting yourself free. When you take that U-turn to the universal presence and apply the universal practices.
Uh-oh. You got the jumping jacks, jumping for the Lord.
Life is changed in a twinkling of an eye.
You got the high kick, kicking for God.
You are the answer. Get some understanding today. Make that U-turn.
Universal. Undivided.
You are the answer. You are the answer. Get some understanding today. Make that U-turn.
Grace makes it look so graceful.
Undeniable. You are the answer. Opportunities are everywhere.
Everywhere. Thank you, Grace. God bless you. Thank you for blessing us. Something's knocking on your heart. We just made our body alkaline. Through the smile on our face and the dance in the body temple, the toxic acidic frequency is being dissolved and the alkalinity is coming into manifestation so that the disease factor is being hindered because we're becoming celebrants of the divine. Don't get nervous. I didn't say celibates. Don't get upset now. Okay, I said celebrant. Okay. Everybody, oh, I don't want to know. No. I didn't ask you to be a monk or a monkey. Celebrate the divine presence. Come with me into this now moment. As you've moved your body, now you're prepared to be still for a moment and to move into the dynamic of what we call affirmative prayer. That is not a begging or a beseeching some reluctant deity out there to give us something, but for us to lift our awareness and to have a realization that that which we desire has already been given. And we're simply opening ourselves up to have a realization of that sacred truth. So we enter into the space of such gratitude and thanksgiving. We give thanks. Oh, I'm grateful. Oh, I'm so very thankful that I'm awake, that I'm alive, that I exist, that I am. So grateful, so thankful that I begin to recognize, I recognize the presence that's never an absence. And I begin to see differently. Oh my God, how great thou art. Oh my God, the richness of beauty is everywhere. Oh my God, life is for me and nothing is against me. Oh my God, the lies of separation are dissolved. I recognize the presence. And I feel so at one with the presence of God, I can proclaim I am. I am what thou art, and thou art what I am. No distance, no celebration, no otherness. Those three magic words, all here now. All of the power, all of the presence, all of the love, all the abundance is right here because it is everywhere. No discrimination. It's everywhere for the reception. So claiming my oneness with God, I claim it for all of us. And as I am lifted up in this rarefied atmosphere, I draw all beings into this upper state of consciousness, knowing that where we are, love is, and peace is, and abundance is.